Hello students, good afternoon to all of you. Am I audible? Am I audible? So which chapter we need to do? 7 or 6? 5 is done. One question was left. That is, we were discussing that the chromatic polynomial one, right? Yeah. That means if PR is the partition, PR of G, this represents what? Partition, right? Of VG into non-empty into R non-empty independent sets, right? Yeah. Then, what you can say about
One
chromatic?
number of partitions.
Yeah. Yes, yes. This is here. Partition is the number of partition. This represents number of partition. So let me. This is your number of partition. Yeah. Then it will be chromatic polynomial for G when k number of colors are given will be summation of PRG into it is k into k minus 1 and so on. That is k sub r you can represent. And what is this k sub r? K into k minus 1 and so on up to r. Again, I'm writing the same thing. Yeah. This will be your k sub r, right? This is also you can represent by this one, right? This is what k factorial divided by k minus r factorial, right? Or you can also represent by kcr into r factorial or binomial coefficient into r factorial, right? So anything you can find over here. Okay, don't get confused whether it is not given if these are given. Okay, either this is also this one, right? This one permutation in case of permutation, in case of combination, and also you may find this one. This is also same as this one, right? And you can also find this binomial coefficient one, right? Yeah. If your means if you are partitioning Vj into R number of set, so I'm just taking this R number of set. Whenever we are using R colors, right? Then we are having this R number of this one, right? R partitioning, right? R colors gives you R classes, R color classes. Clear? So this one of these I just taken as union of V Vi and I is, as this is disjoint, so I is running from 1 to R. Okay, we want R number of colors, right? Yesterday what I was doing is I was trying to find this KR, right? Out of these, whether this is formation of this one occurs or not. That was I was thinking that this KR somehow relate to that, but this is not the case. And why this is not the case? Why this KR represent then? What here this is representing? Yeah, out of k number of colors, we want we want to use R number of colors, right? Only then we are having this R color classes, right? And kind of this, how many partition exists? PR. Clear? PR number of partition exists. So once this partition I have just taken, and we need these are R color classes. Again R color classes. Again color classes. So how many ways to choose these R colors from K? This KR represents that. Yeah. How many ways to choose these R colors from K number of given colors? That will be KPR, because here different vertices also make sense, right? All vertices are not same. That's why it is KCR, and that is KPR, right? K sub R. Otherwise, it would have been KCR, right? You want to choose R number of colors from this one, right? Then it will be KCR. But here, permutation also matters, right? Whether you are coloring to a vertex, first vertex or second vertex, first set or second set, or this one, right? That will be giving you KCR into R factorial, or you can just say how many ways to choose this one. That is given by KPR permutation, and that is represented by KR. There are this much number of ways to choose R number of colors for to color this one, right? For R proper coloring. This is R proper coloring we want. Similarly, you can have one proper coloring if exists, right? Two proper coloring, three proper coloring, and so on up to n proper coloring. Clear?
Yes.
So this KR represents that one. We need R number of colors for the from the given number of K color. That's why it is KR. That is KCR into R factorial. Why this R factorial? That is we can swap these. That is these are not same, right? Vertices are not same, or you can just say what all the sets are not same. And for one, it is KR. So for PR, it will be PR into KR. PR number of set, it will be PR into KR, right? And R can be 1, 2, 3, and up to n. That's why it is the summation. I hope now it's clear. Even if you have any doubt, ask me.
When we are multiplying it by PR because there are PR number of partitions.
Yeah, we are multiplying with this one. Why we are multiplying this one? Yeah, because
there are PR number of partitions are there.
Sorry, you are, I
That
think
particular.
yeah. Can you ask it again? Convinced or not?
Yes.
Okay. That's what, because that means for our color classes we need just our colors, right? So we are choosing our color for each partition. How many ways are there? KR number of ways are there to choose R number of colors for this partition. For second, again KR. For third, again KR. For PR number of partition, it will be PR into KR, and this R can run from 1 to N. Okay, so that will be summation. I hope now it's clear. So let's start the chapter 6. Yeah, in case of KR, you might find all of these notations. So please note these.
Ma'am,
Yeah.
well, in this way we can analyze the coloring very well.
Yeah.
Okay.
Can you type in chat box?
Just a minute.
Yeah. Anyone else having any doubt? Yeah. Uh, yes. In this way, we can analyze it. Analyze the coloring of a graph. Yes, that's what we are doing here, right? In general, we can analyze this, and this is the generalization of that only. Okay. Yeah, Swaroop. What's your doubt? Sai Swaroop. You have raised your hand. Oh, Swarupa Das. It's okay. Swarupa Das. Tell me. Any doubt or just like any? Okay. Anyways. Yeah. Now it's time for sixth chapter revision. It's planar graph. So what we have discussed in planar. So let's revise over here only the whole chapter. What we have discussed in planar graph. Yeah. So first it is planar, right? The plane graph you already know, which is in which a graph in which you don't have any edge conflict, no edge crossing each. Okay, present. And the planar which can be drawn, which is either a plane or which can be drawn as a plane graph. That is your planar, right? So if you are having this is the set of planar graph, then plane graph will lie over here, right? That means every plane graph is planar, but not this one, right? Yeah. Tell me all the definition, that is all the examples of planar graph, or at least 5 to 6 example you must give, and also non-planar graph. Yeah. A graph which is non-planar, not planar, that is known as non-planar. Yeah. Example. Tell me. Yes, Adarsh Patel. Any example for planar graph? Adarsh Patel. Any example for planar graph?
Ma'am, C3.
C,
C4.
C4. In general, CN, right?
Yes, ma'am.
Akanksha. Akanksha. What about wheel? Akanksha Srivastav. WN. Is it planar or not? Akanksha. Anisha. Anisha. Asutosh, can you generalize it? For K, that is complete, cycle, path, and that wheel. Can you generalize it? In general, are they planar? What about WN?
WN is also planar.
Yes, it is planar, right? That is one vertex over here and other n vertices are here, right? So that is also planar. You can draw in a plane such that no edges cross each other. So this is also plane graph. Means not all the drawing of this one is plane. This particular drawing is plane, right? So WN, that is PN, CN, WN, these are planar. What about KN? KN and KN.
For n less than equal to 4.
Yes, for n less than equal to 4, it is planar. And what about KMN? So it will be non-planar for, you got our first example for non-example, that is non-example for Kn, n is at least 5, right? This is non-planar. So K5, K6, K7 and so on, K1000, all are planar, right? Yeah. Next. KMN. KMN. Planar.
If m and n greater than equal to 3.
M and n greater than equal to 2.
Ma'am, for non-planar ones.
For non-planar, greater than equal to 2 or greater than 2?
Ma'am, greater than equal to 3.
Greater than equal to 3, yes. So KMN, it is non-planar for M and N, both are greater than equal to 3. Or you can just say minimum of these is greater than equal to 3, right? So this will be if minimum of Mn is at most 2, right? जो भी मिनिमम एक कम से कम 1 और 2 होना चाहिए, right? Yeah, what about cube? Cube in one dimension. Tell me example of cube in one dimension. Cube in one dimension.
Q2. No. One dimension. No, ma'am.
Ma'am.
Q1.
Yes, Q1, but Q1 represents what? Which
K2.
graph would take Q1?
K2.
K2.
K2, yes. Q2, in general, QK is we can just write equal on here. Yeah. Yes, Sudhanshu. QK in general.
Ma'am, what was the question?
Question is, tell me about Q in K dimension.
Ma'am, QK minus 1 into K2. Cross product.
UK minus 1 into, that is cross product, or you can just write this one, K2, right? Q2 will be Q1 cross product, Cartesian product with Q2, K, K2, right? So K2 into K2, that will be
C4.
isomorphic to C4, right? So can you draw this K2? K2 is obviously, this is planar. C4 is planar. What about Q3?
Planar, ma'am.
Planar. Q3 is cube. How you will draw it? You have this one and here
1.
this cube. Then how to draw it?
Ma'am,
One
1.
square inside it.
This one, right? You can just
Join the vertices.
Yes, ma'am.
make
One.
one is smaller than that. Inside this one, draw over here and all these. That is your planar. What about Q4? Can
Not
you
planar,
draw
ma'am.
Q4? Q4,
No,
planar,
ma'am. Non.
non-planar. Q4 will be, if you want to draw, then like planar graph.
Cube inside cube. That.
Cube inside cube. Or I'm just taking these out. That is Q3. Okay. Q3 into K2. I have just replaced in K2 U and V with the copy of Q3, right? Now, corresponding vertices will be adjacent when these are adjacent in the other graph. So this will be adjacent. Now, this is adjacent to this one. Okay, I have made it adjacent. What about this one? This will cross now. Here also, it is adjacent to this one. Or if you want to draw like this, then this is adjacent to this one, this is adjacent to this one, this one, this one. Then again, you need to cross these edges, right? Here, you need to cross this one. Here, you need to cross, right? So Q4 is not planar.
Non-planar.
Okay. So in general, you can just say K is at least 3. Clear? And non-planar, you obviously know that this is at least 4. Yeah. Any other example? Peterson graph, which is planar.
No, ma'am.
Not planar. So Peterson graph you have. Kite, obviously planar, you can draw, right?
Ma'am, kite is
And
planar.
yeah, kite is planar, no? Kite is just this one, A4 minus
Oh,
1h.
I thought the other crossing.
This is the kite one, right?
मैम बट इन ज्योमेट्री देयर इज डिफरेंट काइट मींस ये नीचे वाला दो दो साइड जो रहता है इलोंगेट रहता है और बीच में एक और
Oh, okay. Means in graph theory, this is known as kite and this is planar. Okay.
यस मैम
Means geometry में किस टाइप का ये वाला फिगर बोल रहे हो? This one like this and this one like right and this one.
यस मैम डायगोनल इंटरसेक्ट एट 90 डिग्री
Yeah. Means I just drawn the real kite. Anyways, so here we have this one kite. Yeah, done. Done. Yeah. Then we have K5 and K33. Yeah. One more thing I want to discuss, that is, if you have any graph it's planar and there is a subgraph, okay, H is the subgraph of G, then you can discuss about 4 results. If H is planar, then what can you say about G? And if G is planar, then what can you say about H? If H is non-planar, then what are the results for G? And if G is given as non-planar, then what can be said about H? Yeah. Tell me. H is the subgraph of G. Then yeah, H is planar. Then G
may or may not
planar, right? So we can say this statement. What can you say about the statement? Every graph of a every graph, no. Yeah, if H is the subgraph that is planar, so we think a little bit. Yeah, if H is the proper subgraph of G, that is every proper subgraph of a graph is planar, then what can you say about G? Is it planar? Every proper subgraph of G is planar, then what can you say about G? Is it planar?
may or may not be.
May or may not. Example?
मैम पीटरसन ग्राफ C5 cycle
Yes. But I am just saying that every proper subgraph. Peterson graph is working for non-example.
मैम you are talking about every subgraph.
Yes, every proper subgraph, every role. That is also may or may not be planar. You can take the example of K5, right? K33, right? All the proper subgraph of K5 and K33 are planar. Proper, I'm just saying, right? Even if you delete one edge from here or one edge from here, or one vertex from these, then these are planar, right? All the proper subgraph of these graph are planar, but these are not, right? So that is also true. This can be planar, can be non-planar. Okay, yeah. If it is planar, so regarding the second statement, I can ask every subgraph of a planar graph is planar. Every subgraph of a planar graph is planar. Yeah, true or not?
Yes, ma'am.
True. And what's the reason? It's simple, no? Because G,
Ma'am,
yeah,
ma'am, if
G,
there,
yeah, yeah, say it.
ma'am, if there is no intersection of edges in G, then there cannot be intersection of edges in H.
Yeah, there's no intersection in G over here, so that's why cannot be over. So that will be planar always for all the graph. Okay. Yeah. What about if a subgraph of G is non-planar? Then what can you say about that graph?
Ma'am, non-planar.
Non-planar, right? Because here edges intersect, right? Either the graph G will be same as this one, otherwise there might be increase in number of vertices or edges, right? So these edges will be, this conflict will be still present in G, right? Yeah. Then it will be non-planar. Yeah, well, for this one. Yeah, corresponding to this one, I can ask one statement. That was in exercise also. Every subgraph of a non-planar graph is non-planar, and the second statement is every subgraph of a non-planar graph is planar. Third statement, none of these means neither A nor B. Yeah. Every subgraph of a non-planar graph is non-planar. Second is every subgraph of a non-planar graph is planar. Which statement is true? Or both statement true? Both cannot be right. Yep. Tell me. Yes. No idea.
Ma'am, if I show one graph and I prove that all the subgraph of this graph is planar, then first statement will be satisfied, no?
You are saying if I show one graph, right?
Yes, ma'am.
But my statement is every
And for every statement.
subgraph of any graph. you can take of a graph. Means any graph I can take it G, right? Yeah, if they ask you give give one example of such G where all the subgraph are non-planar or all the subgraph are planar, and that can be only proper subgraph, not the equality will be there, right? अगर non-planar है same is also the subgraph of that one ना.
Yes, ma'am.
So वो proper के केस में ही हो सकता है planar, okay? And if in general if you want to find about some example over here, then you will never find. Sometimes it will be planar, sometimes it will be non-planar. Okay, so you can't say. Is that clear?
Yes, ma'am.
So here every supergraph means G is containing H. Okay, if H is given as non-planar, then its supergraph will be like superset. Okay, also non-planar, and every subgraph of a planar graph is planar. These two statements we are sure about, but not these one, right?
Ma'am, then for last one, we can take none of these or the C part, both A and B.
None of these. Because you know that yeah. What was your example? Which graph you
Ma'am,
took?
option.
No, you just told me, no? I can give one example where every subgraph is planar or non-planar for particular graph.
You have told P5. Sorry, K5.
K5, okay, K5 for all the proper subgraph are planar. You cannot say H is the subgraph of this K5 and every subgraph of K5 is planar, because I
Yes.
can just say K5 is
K5 can-
subgraph of K5, right? So all the proper subgraph are planar, but this is non-planar, right? In that sense, you can say.
Okay. Yes, ma'am.
But this is not working for all, right? So here only it violates this condition. That's why it can be planar, it can be non-planar. Some are planar, some are non-planar, right?
Yes, ma'am.
Next is K33 and K5 non-planar. If you remove just one edge, it will be planar. This edge over here. Then dual graph. Have we defined dual graph? How do you find this? G star.
Ma'am, in this faces become vertices. And if there is a
Become
edge
vertices. Okay. Yes.
Ma'am, if there is an edge between the face, then there will be adjacency in the faces. Means what is?
Yes.
in the dual graph.
Whenever there is an S between Fi and Fj, that's what you want to ask. You want to say, right? There will be adjacency between these corresponding vertices Fi and Fj. Clear?
Yes.
Okay. That means for every S there is an edge, right? Okay. If this I is not equal to j. If I is equal to j, then if I is not equal to j, then this one. If I is equal to j, means
Loop
you
formation.
have, yes, loop formation. Okay, means to say for every S there is an S. So M will be equal to M star, or here we are using E and E star, right, for number of edges. And here N will become N will become the, not N, faces, number of faces, F. So N star is F becomes the N star. Clear? and n become x star. Yeah, is this dual condition? Is it retained in the isomorphic graph? That means if two isomorphic graph, G1 is isomorphic to G2, then can you say G1 star is also isomorphic to G2 star? Or can you say G star, again you calculate this star, then you are getting G. That's what I wanted to ask. Finally, yeah. Yeah?
Last one is true. G star का star.
This one is true.
Yes, ma'am.
This one is also not true, and this one also not true. If two isomorphic, then you might get non-isomorphic duo. Okay. See, you can have this K3, not K13, K13. Okay. In this sense, I just want to check whether I'm getting G star, and you can have P4. Okay, 4 vertices over here, 3 edges, 4 vertices, 3 edges, right? Now, these are non-isomorphic I have just taken. What is the dual? There are one face. So one vertex. Here also one vertex. How many edges? How many loops I should say? All the bridges. So bridge
Three.
loop. So this is your dual of first. Here also. Okay. And if you want to find the star part of this one, these are isomorphic, na? These are non-isomorphic. Here, try to find the star part of this. Corresponding to faces, you have vertices. So 1, 2, 3, 4. 4 vertices. Yeah. Then this is your outside vertex. You can just take outside face corresponding to this one. Yeah. So x1, x2, x3, x4. So this is your x4. X4 is adjacent to all, right? Okay, and none of these are adjacent. Clear? So, are you getting P3? Sorry, P4. This one is same dual, right? This is isomorphic to this graph, right? Or you can just say these are non-isomorphic over here, right? But here you are having isomorphic. Clear? And this is your G star, and again G star and star. Again dual of dual. This is coming at just this one. Or any tree of order n, this will give you n-1 loops, right? In one vertex. And every time you will get dual of dual is this one, if I'm not wrong, right? That this is not retained in isomorphic condition. That is duality. For Cn it is for Pn it is P minus that is P minus n. That was the line graph. n-1 loops. For Cn it will be multi edges, 2 vertices and multi-edges, n multi-edges. Okay. Yeah, length of each face is can be find by just counting the number of edges on the closed loop, right? That is closed walk. What about the length of this face? Length of face is defined as number of edges on closed loop, right? Or length of closed loop. Closed loops, not closed loop, closed walk. Closed walk. Yes. Tell me, length of this face. Can you find any smallest possible closed walk in this one?
Ma'am, 2.
2. A, B, A or B, A, B, right? So length will be 2. Now, can you tell me the degree of vertex F in G star? This is your G. Can you find the degree of vertex F in G star? Yeah? It will be 2. We will have one loop now, and loop corresponds to twice the degree, right? Degree of this vertex is 2. So the length of face become in Z become the degree of corresponding vertex to this face in G star. Clear? Multiple edges are coming from the common boundary edges. On cut edge, that is bridge, forms the loop, right? Length of face is just total length of closed walk, and this is the smallest possible closed walk bounding the face. Here you can just see these two graphs are isomorphic, but their dual are not isomorphic. But the degrees, sum of degrees is same as the length of these faces same. Clear? Length of these faces, summation of length of these faces is same. Okay. Here you have same thing. Here also summation only. I'm not saying all the length, right? So corresponding degrees, summation of degree will be same. And you know that summation of degree gives you twice into size, right? Yeah, cut edge contributes twice to the length. Why? For closed walk, right? It comes twice. Yeah. I was asking about this one. Summation of degree. Degree sum formula.
Yes, ma'am.
It
Twice
is your
1
2m, right? Then why this length? This is equal to degree of the vertex, right? And vertex in what? G star. Dual. Degree of corresponding vertex, and this will be the sum. And then why this 2m? This is equal to 2 into m star, right? And as we have discussed, m is equal to m star, right? Number of edges to same रहेंगी. Okay? That's why it is equal to 2m. Then you can have this one. If G is bipartite, G bipartite for a planar graph, G is bipartite if and only if for a plane graph G is bipartite if and only if odd cycle present only bipartite में no. So the length of face is also not odd, right? Either no cycle is present or even cycle are present. No cycle means every edge is counted twice, right? And cycle, even cycle means even length, right? Then length of each face in Z will be even. Clear for all I. Clear? And when length of each face is even, if and only if you can just say these three statements are equivalent. I said right over here. Yeah, these three statements are equivalent. G is bipartite, length is even, then the space become vertex and this length become degree, and degree of corresponding vertex for all I in G star become even, right? It will be corresponding to this one. If it for F1 it is 2, then for F1 vertex degree will be 2, right? So it's even, not only 2. And if degree of all the vertices are even, then what can you say about that graph? Is it Eulerian, is it Hamiltonian, or is it something else?
Eulerian.
Eulerian, right? So this is just to make you understand. So you can just say G is bipartite, all the faces have even length, and G star, this is only about G, if and only if G star Eulerian. Okay, so this statement could be asked that G is bipartite if and only if G star is Eulerian. Clear? And this one is G, right? Yeah, next was Euler's formula for a connected planar graph. If it is planar, you can draw it as a plane graph. And for plane graph, you know about F, right? For connected one, you have the relations between N, E, and F. This is always 2 for connected one. In general, for disconnected, if it has k number of component, then N minus E plus F, it will be k plus 1. Clear? So for connected one, is this k is 1, that's why it is 2. Clear? This is known as Euler's formula. Connected plane graph, this holds. Okay? For disconnected one with k components, this formula holds. Yeah, then 2 more theorems we have done. That is, if G is simple, first it's simple, plane graph or planar. If planar, you can draw it as a plane graph, right? Simple planar graph. Then you can have N is at least 3, I think. Then you can have E is at most 3n minus 6. G is simple, no multi-edges and no loops, plus planar, right? Or I said, yeah, planar, and at least 3. Okay, then you can have this one. And if I add one more thing, in simple, planar, and at least 3 without C3, that is, it is triangle free. C3 is not the subgraph of G. Then what can you say about G? That is E and N relation. E will be at most 2n minus 4. Understood?
Yes.
Yeah. If this is not, means this is P implies Q, and this is P up to here and implies Q, triangle free. Yeah. If this is not, that means E is strictly greater than 3n minus 6. Then what can you say about G? Either G is not simple, or G is not planar, or N is less than 3. Okay, so if N is less than 3, N is greater than equal to 3, and G is simple, then what can you conclude? G will be non-planar if this holds, right? And here, if E is strictly greater than 2n minus 4, so either this is not simple, or this is non-planar, or this is less than equal to 2, or you can say this contains some triangles, right? If it is greater. So if G contains triangle, N is at least 3 and simple, then what is the thing that is left? Only non-planar, right? if you show somehow this is greater than 2n minus 4, right? And this we used to prove K33 non-planar, right? And this we used for K5 to show non-planar, right? Clear?
Yes, ma'am.
Here n is at least 3. This does not contain any C3, and this is simple, so this is non-planar. Here also simple and n at least 3. That's why it is non-planar. Yeah. One more thing is if E is exactly equal to 3n minus 6, then if and only if for a plane graph, you can just say for a planar graph, if it is equal to 3n minus 6, then what can you say about this one? G will be maximal planar graph. Okay, maximal planar graph. Okay, if and only if G is triangle free. G has not triangle free. G has triangulation. Every face is length 3. It's with 3, length 3. That is, every face for all the faces of G is isomorphic to C3. Clear? That means G has a triangulation. Clear? Whenever it is exactly equal to this one, it will be maximal planar. And maximal planar means the planar graph in which we cannot add any more edges, right? Any edges. And triangulation means length of every face is 3, right? And the last result for the day is for a simple plane graph, yeah, the graph should be simple. G has exactly this one number of edges. G is a maximal plane graph, maximal plane graph. And G has a triangulation means face is equal to is isomorphic to C3 or K3, right? Yeah, that's it. On Wednesday, what you do, chapter 7 and chapter 3 or chapter 1? Yeah,
Chapter
3?
chapter 1.
Chapter 1, okay. So you just revise chapter 7 and chapter 1. I'll be having only one class, that is 1 hour, first 1 hour, and second hour, I think Chaplaman will be taking. So let's see what happens on Wednesday. So accordingly, I'll discuss this one. So you just revise it. Okay? At least revise all the results and these definitions. Okay?
Yes, ma'am.
Thanks all. Yeah.
Good afternoon, all of you. Okay, Anisha, so where were we in the last class?
Ma'am, we have completed begging the question.
Okay, thank you. Yes, so we have already done this, begging the question. And when we say that God is real because the Bible says so, and the Bible is from the God, so there is so much of twisting and intertwining, and you never know whether you because the claim uh, isn't proved through evidences. The claim is shown as something which has to be, which is preordained, which has to be accepted as true. Now, coming to the second part, it is non sequitur. Now, a non sequitur is a conclusion or a reply that doesn't follow logically from the previous statement. So, the argument itself could have true premises but still have a false conclusion. So, even if the argument has the premises on which the argument is based is true, the conclusion is false. So I dated a man who was an accountant, and all he talked about was work. So accountants are boring. Or you can say Mary bakes the best cake in town, and she should run for a mayor. Only because she bakes the best cake, why does she have to run for mayor? So the premises is true, but the conclusion is not. Here, the conclusion is not. So the premises may be true. So the accountant talks about work all day, but we can't generalize it to all accountants. We can't say that accountants are boring because of the fact that all of them talk about work, or only because Mary bakes the best cake, we can't say that she should run for mayor. So even if the premises is true, the conclusion somewhere is flawed, and that is called non sequitur. So the conclusion is not somehow based on the premises. Now we have reasoning fallacies. Now there are many ways that arguments can go wrong and thus mislead or deceive an audience. So arguments can go wrong in many ways. And when arguments go wrong, they mislead an audience. And fallacy is that fallacy is talks about deceiving an argument. When arguments are fallacious, when arguments are flawed, they deceive the audience. So flawed arguments are known as fallacies, and it can grow out of inadequate evidence, emotive language, appeals to prejudice or ignorance or inadequate reasoning. Now let's take false analogy. A false analogy is a logical fallacy that occurs when someone applies facts from one situation to another situation, but the situations are substantially different and the same conclusions cannot logically be drawn. So analogy is illustrating or exemplifying, giving a comparison. Now if you give a false analogy, if you give a false comparison, this amounts to logical fallacy, and that occurs when someone applies facts from one situation to another situation, but the situations are substantially different. So you cannot draw the same conclusions logically from both the situations. Like this example, illustrates it very clearly. See, all trees have barks. Every dog barks. Therefore, every dog is a tree. This analogy is quite flawed. You see, you can't compare both the barks together. There cannot be any comparison. Trees having barks and dogs barking are two different things. So when you apply, facts from one situation and another and make a comparison, analogy is comparing, and give a comparison. This is completely flawed. So all trees have barks and every dog barks are two different things. How can you logically conclude from the two things? I mean, they can't form a singular syllogism. There isn't a singular syllogism here. I mean, you can't say the first statement as a major premises and the second a minor, where you can logically draw a conclusion. You cannot. Because they are two different things. The barks are not the same thing. This is false analogy. This is penguins are black and white. Some old TV shows are black and white. Therefore, some penguins are old TV shows. How can you even make an analogy like this? Isn't it? So this is completely hilarious. It is flawed. So analogy is making a comparison, and when you uh, do that in a situation where it doesn't really apply, where you bring in one example, compare it with another example, and two very, very diverse things, you cannot consider that as a singular syllogism. It cannot. They never form a syllogism. I mean, colors of the penguins and old TV shows are no comparison at all. So that's called false analogy. Coming to hasty generalization. You see, a hasty generalization is a conclusion that is not logically justified by sufficient evidence. It's also called an insufficient sample, a faulty generalization, or a biased generalization, or jumping to conclusion. So when you generalize something, mm, when you don't have logical grounding, you don't have sufficient evidence, and you simply jump to conclusion. That guy is driving Bugatti aggressively. Therefore, all sports car drivers are aggressive. We haven't taken sufficient evidence. And based on one instance, we can't generalize it. That's called hasty generalization. So the name itself implies that the generalizations made are hasty and doesn't really conform to any of the evidences. So there's no confirmation from any of these evidences. You can't take one sample, one example, and just generalize it and justify that this is true. You can't take one sample and say everything is like this. So you can't take one patient who died even after taking the COVID vaccine and say that COVID vaccines don't really work. Okay, so the number of samples that are to be tested is important. You can't generalize based on one particular evidence. You visit a new country and the first person you met in the airport is rude. So, you start thinking that everyone in this country is rude. That's too hasty. That's too quick to conclude. Right? So hasty generalization is also a flawed argument because we don't take sufficient sample size. The sample size is not sufficient. Based on one or two observations, we believe that that's a fact. So this is also a biased generalization because we very quickly jump to conclusion without really testing a wide array of things. False cause. The next is false cause. And this is also known as a questionable cause or causal fallacy. And it is a category of informal fallacy in which a cause incorrectly uh, in which a cause is incorrectly identified. Now, it occurs when one cites two sequential events as evidence that the first caused the second. So, the cause is questionable. So, it is also called a causal fallacy. Now, the speaker presumes that the real or perceived relationship between things means that one is the cause of the other. But the relationship, the cause and effect relationship may not be the one that the speaker or the person thinks. For example, every time I go to sleep, the sun goes down. Therefore, my going to sleep causes the sun to set. Now, this is a false cause. Only because I go to sleep, the sun sets. So he shows that how temperature have been rising over the past few centuries. At the same time, number of pirates have been decreasing. Therefore, pirates cool the world. Okay, only because we see number of pirates decreasing, we don't find um, adequate number of pirates these days. So we believe that pirates are the reasons for cooling the world. Okay, so the cause that is given is false. So it is also called causal fallacy. Now, post hoc. Post hoc is a logical fallacy that states since event Y followed event X, event Y must have been caused by event X. It is something, it is like the previous one, the causal fallacy. Now, the two events occur simultaneously or in a chronological order. We don't know. But then believing that one caused the other is wrong. So when we say roosters crow before sunrise, therefore roosters cause sunrise. Or a person moves into an apartment and the building's pipes are malfunctioning and blocked. So the manager blames the person's arrival for the malfunction. Something happens and something else also has happened. So we correlate them. If something bad happens to you and simultaneously you also see an ill omen, you believe that it is because of this kind of omen that I see. Maybe there's something bad that has happened to me. Single cause. Now, it is also known as complex cause, causal oversimplification, or reduction fallacy. And it occurs when it is assumed that there is a single, simple cause of an outcome, when in reality, it may have been caused by a number of sufficient reasons. Now, smoking has been empirically proven to cause lungs cancer. Therefore, if we eradicate smoking, we will eradicate lungs cancer. Well, smoking might be one of the reasons, but there are many other reasons which triggers cancer in the lungs. We don't know. So when we oversimplify, when we pinpoint on one particular cause as the reason, then it becomes a causal fallacy, single cause, or causal oversimplification. So sedentary lifestyle contributes to obesity. People have become more sedentary in the last few decades. Therefore, the rise in obesity can be fixed by people getting more exercise. Well, that could be one very major cause, but not the only cause. Only because of sedentary lifestyles, people don't become obese. There might be many other factors which contributes to the obesity epidemic. This is one cause. So this is called causal oversimplification or reduction fallacy. When we reduce the entire evidence or the entire argument to one cause only, without considering the other simultaneous causes. That's single cause, causal oversimplification or reduction fallacy. Now, slippery slope. I mean, that's, I guess, the last one. So, it is an argument that suggests taking a minor action will lead to major and sometimes ridiculous conclusions. So these fallacies occur when someone assumes a very little action and leads to extreme outcomes. For example, if we teach Samyak how to drive the car, he will want to learn how to fly helicopters next. So you see, you take a minor action. You believe that taking one small action will lead to a major conclusion, will lead to something major. Something major will happen. So you see, so if we allow a 14-year-old to have his first date now, what's next? A wedding? So you are stretching it too far. When we stretch something, a minor action, to too far a conclusion, then it's called a slippery slope. I think that's the end of fallacies. Okay, so any questions on this? What next? Any questions here? If there isn't any question, we move on to the next unit, which is organizing the body of your speech very quickly. So, who's going to read this for me? Who's reading this?
Okay.
Yeah, sure.
Organizing the body of your speech. Identify 2 to 5 main points. Central idea you want to present to your audience. Consider organizational pattern of main points. Write a thesis statement with the main points. Develop the main points of your speech through research. Outline the speech body.
Great. So in this unit, we'll talk about, since we have already known how to write an introduction, how to write a conclusion, we go on to learn how to organize the body of our speech. We have to identify 2 to 5 main points or central idea, which we want to present to our audience. And then consider the organizational pattern of the main points. How do we organize them? Write a thesis statement, that is the central idea, develop the main points, and outline the speech body. Now, these are some of the organizational patterns of a speech. The topical or the logical pattern, the chronological pattern, spatial pattern, and compare and contrast. So whenever we are presenting something, whenever any writer is presenting something, they basically adopt any of these organizational patterns. How do you organize your speech? What kind of pattern do you need, do you use in your speech? So it could be a logical pattern. It could be based on types of categories. For example, uh, the logical pattern. For example, the division of college students. How do you divide them? How do you classify them? Or diabetes, if you're going to speak on diabetes, living with diabetes. So you have to tell them, define them, what is diabetes? What causes diabetes? What are the symptoms? What are the treatments? That's one organizational pattern. And this is called the logical pattern. The other type of organizational pattern that we can adopt is chronological pattern. And this is based on how things occur in time. So when we are talking about chronological pattern, we basically deal with some historical events, a life story, or some event which has a chronology. It could also mean if you are talking about a process or a procedure, you go chronologically. First do this, then go on to this, third do this. So that's a chronology, that's a sequence. Similarly, if you're talking about a person, you can use a chronological pattern. You can talk about the childhood, uh, the how he or she rose to success, what are the future ambitions, what are the challenges you faced in life, all this. Or if you're talking about a historical event, then also you have to describe the chronology. If you're going to say what was the Indigo Revolution in the in India's fight against the Britishers. Where does Indigo Revolution come in? So if you want to talk about Indigo Revolution, you have to give them a precursory glance at what happened before Indigo. How did Indigo come? How did the Britishers bring Indigo to India? How did they compel the farmers to cultivate Indigo? How farmers suffered? What happened? What happened next? What how the farmers were suffering and they were in distraught, and what did it lead to? What were the aftermath of the Indigo Revolution? So this is called the chronological pattern, where you go on to describe the event or the person in a chronological sequence, or a process or a procedure. Now this comes first and then this. So first, second, third, all this. Okay. Next is the spatial pattern. Who will read this?
I'm reading.
Please read. Please read.
Spatial pattern based on where things are located in space. Places to visit in Alabama, Huntsville, Birmingham, Tuscaloosa, Mon- Montgomery, and Mobile.
Yeah. Thank you, Gurman. Yes. So spatial pattern is based on where things are located in space. Uh, for example, if you want to talk about a geographical location, then you will have to you don't have to exactly tell the coordinates, but you have to give some description as to where it is, what are the things you need to visit if you go to the place, what is the speciality, what are typical things that are available. So No, so you have to develop a complete itinerary. That's a spatial pattern. And the next and the last pattern is comparing and contrasting. So if you want to compare the wedding rituals of India and the US, uh, so you have to compare. This is what happens in India, and this is what happens in your country, and all this. So comparing and contrasting. So these are some of the major organizational patterns. We also have cause and effect. Cause and effect is also an organizational pattern. We tell the cause and also the effect. Now the effects of binge drinking on college campus. So if you binge drink on the college campus, what could be the effects? How is that going to affect you? So cause and effect. If you cut trees, what happens? Okay, the cause and the effect. And then I somehow I was reminded of this fellow. What happened, Anisha? What is suspended? Ah, yes, yeah, well. Let me tell you this. I was somehow reminded with this binge drinking. We used to have classes at 8, so our classes started at 8, and we had two classes, 8 to 9, 9 to 10. At 10 we had a break. 10 to 11 was the break, and from 11 we had classes till 1, I guess, and then it was off. Uh, so on that particular day, I had a class at 11, I guess. You'll and when at 11 o'clock, uh, no, I guess it was at yeah, probably, yeah, at 11 I was there in the class, and there was this boy who sits at the back. He usually is a backbencher. He sits at the back, and on that particular day, I don't know, he was very happy. Uh, frankly, honestly, I never knew the after effects of drinking empty stomach. So he was very happy and he was very gleeful, smiling all the time. And then he happily greeted me. I asked some questions, and he stood up, and he wasn't like that. He was very uh, he was kind of non-responsive. But then on that particular day, he was very happy. He used to stand up, speak something. Then he seemed very abnormal, but I couldn't really relate that he has possibly drunk empty stomach. I mean, when you get a break, you are supposed to, yeah, you're supposed to go to the canteen and have your breakfast, not go to a bar and drink. So he was drunk, and he came to the class after. Look at his audacity. I mean, you should not have come to the class. You go empty stomach at 9 o'clock to get yourself a drink, to buy yourself a drink. You drink, and then you come back to the college, and you also attend class. So I really couldn't know that what was the possible reason. But I said, you are very disturbing today. So,
Maybe he was copying Three Idiot.
I don't know, but listen what happened very interestingly. And when I completed my class, there was, I guess, physics or some class, and there was a male teacher who came to the class. And the next day, I came to know that he was dragged. He dragged him to the dean's office. The male teacher dragged him to the dean's office, and there he was punished, and his guardian was called, and all sort of things went on. He was there was a complaint against him in the disciplinary committee, and it seems he came back to his senses after that. So there was a big, huge drama. So what happens, the effect of binge drinking on college campus was so pertinently visible on that day. So this fellow was dragged to the dean's office, and there, what happened? I think no prize for guessing, and he got back to his senses after his father came. Yeah, I'm talking about our college only, no? Where else am I talking about? Oh, you don't know? You think students in ITR don't drink? They do.
And
And
it's an engineering college. No, Gurman is saying that Anisha is worried. I'm not worried. I'm just asking because I have heard from somewhere that all the engineering boys do drink.
and girls also, Anisha.
Yes, ma'am. Girls also. Obviously, girls also. I have the full background of engineering family, so they don't drink in my. But they tell that yeah, the other section or other branches girls do.
I've
And
been
those
in
who say don't
hostel.
drink,
Actually, my
don't believe
sister
them.
told me, my cousin sister told me that architect वाली बहुत ज़्यादा like पीती हैं. I don't know.
Those who say that we don't drink, they drink, that means they also drink. So it's
I
very,
don't
very,
know.
it's normal, Anita. It's normal. I mean, they
No,
booze
actually,
around.
my father also told me that in their days when he was doing the BTech, he also like before the result came out, they used to roam around and drink and blah and blah. But he
What
never.
was, what was funny, Anisha, was that it is no,
Not funny. I'm
boozed
just
empty
asking
stomach.
that it ever happened in our college or what?
Yeah, he boozed empty stomach, and I didn't know that when you drink empty stomach, all these kind of things happen. He boozed empty stomach, and he came to the class. That was the funniest part. Even you should not have come to the class. Why do you have to come to the class and do all kind of drama there? It was so much fun. All of us were laughing, and then he was caught and he was dragged, and it was damn funny. It's very common with students here. They drink, they
Ma'am,
smoke.
actually, actually, I have been in hostel for 3 years,
Yeah.
and one of my friend used to always used to drink and come to give exam in my coaching center. He was he was famous for this. Only the teachers don't know that.
You won't believe, in the last semester, I was somehow teaching. Usually, this course is floated in the first year, but I was teaching public speaking, and it was floated in the last in the sixth semester. So, and they were mechanical students, and one of these guys, he never came to the class. So I was like worried. I said, how come this fellow doesn't come to the class at all? And somehow I found out, and I gave repeated notification, and somehow this fellow came to the class, and he was so skinny. My God, you can't even look at it. And I was worried. I said, are you not well? Are you sick, or are you ill or something? And then I said, I'll talk to you later after the class, ma'am. And then he came with me after the class, uh, and he walked with me. We walked the talk, and he said, ma'am, and after listening to all that, I said, are you into some kind of addiction or into substance abuse? He said, no, 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 it's not addiction, ma'am. Uh, I consume marijuana, and I feel, the moment I consume it, I feel I'm on the top of the world. And you see, madam, definitely I'm going to win a Nobel Prize one day. And you'll be the first one to know. I said, yes, I'm waiting for that day when you will. Srinath knows everything. He's a local guy, no? So he knows. You can also ask him where everything is available. He's a reliable guide, I guess. Srinath might be knowing everything. It's a den out here. It's a hub. So this fellow told me all kind of crap stories, saying how he's going to win a Nobel Prize, how he's inventing, working on inventing something very significant, and he never came to the class. Yeah, so he was, yeah. So addictions and its effects could be numerous. You find them talk so funny things at times. Okay, so binge drinking on college campus, yeah, could be devastating at times. So, and even girls, they say, you see, girls are no way. They are all. They are. What do you say? They all so-called feminists, so they don't want to lag behind. So you find girls smoking, drinking, everything. Anyway, I hope that you don't get into addiction, at least not drugs. Substance abuse is it's dangerous.
One of my teacher was from BIT Mesra, and he used to say that he had some girls, some friends, female friends, who drink even more than boys.
Yes, they do. Uh, they do, but I don't know. It's not about gender equality here. It's about not getting into all this kind of substance abuse. You know, at least not into drugs. Okay, so yeah, I hope when you come back to college, at least you don't get into all this kind of addictions. Addiction is bad. Yes, Gurman, you don't have to be answerable. Why? Oh, yes. Gurman, do you drink a lot or occasionally?
No, ma'am, I don't drink.
Really? Oh, great. Sorry if I was stereotyping because Anisha said so.
No, ma'am, it's okay.
Okay. Anyways, so that is a cause and effect pattern. Now coming to problem and solution, overcrowded prisons, and what could be the solution. So this we state a problem, and then we also talk about the possible solutions. So the problems of overcrowded prisons, and what are the solutions to them, or why this has become a problem, and what are the solutions. So problem and solution is another pattern. Oh, that's good, Gurman. Yeah, Ashutosh. Oh, you're so fascinated with the word drink, no? Drink, boozing.
How you can forget Ishi? I'm sure his dogs drink it too.
Oh, but Ishi is
Dog,
in
black
the
dog.
class, I guess. Ishi is not there in the class. He might be. Where is he? Where is he? Why doesn't he come to the class?
I'm asking
Giving
Srinath.
black dog to his dog.
And I loved his DP yesterday. I was like, it was so hilarious. I don't know. Ishi might not be drinking. I don't know. Srinath would be the right person to tell. Srinath is his friend, so if both of them booze around, they might be having beer at least, isn't it, Srinath? No?
Ma'am, I have a story to tell something.
What, Sudhanshu?
One of my friend, I have a story
Yeah, sure.
which happened with my friend.
Mm-hmm.
So there was one of my friend who used to smoke. Who learned smoking, got addicted to smoking only because it looks cool. So what he used to do, he used to put light a cigarette, put it in his mouth, suck up the smoke, and keep the smoke in his mouth, and then after few seconds he blow that smoke away.
Okay.
And he doesn't inhale. He never inhaled that smoke inside. So he was not getting the effect of that cigarette. He was only thinking that this thing doesn't do anything. So one of his friend who was a regular smoker came to him and told him that he can smoke only 1 and 2 cigarettes. But my friend was saying that how is this possible? I learned it. I started doing smoking a few months ago, and now I can smoke about 4 5 cigarettes. How many you want to give me? I will smoke and use all those. So he started smoking, and after that, his friend told me, "No, this isn't the way." Told him that this isn't the way you smoke. You have to inhale that smoke. So he did that. He inhaled that, and for the first time he got dizzy, kind of. He felt the nasa of that cigarette, and after that he called me and told me that for the first time he realized how how addictive this thing is, and he was not feeling, he was feeling dizzy, and he was dancing in some julus, I think. That was some julus, uh, yeah, Saraswati Puja, I think. So for the first time, he in after using a after using cigarette for months, for the first time he got addicted. He felt the nasa of that cigarette. Otherwise उसको पता भी नहीं था कि सिगरेट का नशा होता है.
बढ़िया. I mean, do even people, you know? Oh.
वो बस देख देख के दूसरे को शुरू कर दिया था.
True. But it's all right if you occasionally drink, but then when it becomes an addiction, so it becomes really dangerous. And what's more dangerous is substance abuse. There's all kind of drugs that are available. So, Anish, really, Anisha, you don't have any fizz?
Ma'am, my father is just so against cold drink and all. If he will see the bottle, he will be like, oh. Then even my mom likes it too, but due to my father, they don't even drink.
Okay.
He's just so into the health. He's very health conscious. Just do this, do this, do this.
Yeah, that's what
this.
Yeah, but okay. ଶ୍ରୀନାଥ ତମେ ୟା ତା ଯୋଡି ଆଉ ଜମାଓନି, ତମେ ତ ଏକୁଟିଆ ରହିଯିବ. You become single. ତମେ ୟା ତା ଯୋଡି ଜମେଇଲେ କଣ ଲାଭ? It's all right. Yeah. No, but what?
मैडम दो कथा पूछी.
हाँ तम कथा कहूची श्रीनाथ. या ता जोड़ी केते जमौछ?
नहीं मैं मो कथा कहूची.
कौन कहूछ तम कथा? अरे तम सांग पळि गेला, तुमको तो सब जणा थिबो ना कोठी कोन मिलुची. तम घर कोठी?
मो घर एई हाउसिंग बोर्ड कॉलोनी चंद्रशेखर.
बस तुमको तो सब जणा थिबो.
हम बहुत भल पिला.
के खराब पिला माने खाली पियंती, भल पिला भी पियंती ना. एतसे पी 10टा बेले पळे सी क्लास.
के मैडम
जा एग्जांपल दोतिली मु बे.
ओहो.
Oh, sorry, Anisha. I was saying to him, I was saying that Srinath knows everything. You know what is available where in Bhubaneswar. So he knows all those addresses of the hubs.
Ma'am, he is second, ma'am. You should opt one for the Ishi. He knows everything.
Yeah, but Ishi isn't there in the class.
Ma'am, he knows everything, means everything. What is going on, what is happening, what is there, what is here.
Yeah, is he too much into addiction also? Is she? Does he drink?
I don't know that, but he's like he have every information.
Oh, Wikipedia guy. Good. Yes, Avishar Singh, NCB. And you remember what, the time when Ria was like haunted by the media and then...
Yes, ma'am, I remember.
There was a cat.
I hate that woman. I don't know why, but I hate that woman.
You get the best weed in, weed in...
he was saying that... Sara Ali Khan and I smoke the weed here.
And you get the best weed in Bhubaneswar. So that became a headline in all the newspapers, Odia newspapers the next
From
day.
State College.
That where in Bhubaneswar do we get the best weed? She has come.
One of my friend is coming to Bhubaneswar, to this college only. I will tell him the location. He can go there.
Ishi's number. She is always there. Whenever you talk of ganja, you marijuana, weed, everything, Ishi is always there. So that became the talk of every like the narcotics, and everyone was like, what's happening? Why did she have to name Bhubaneswar for all the wrong reason? So you get the best weed there in Bhubaneswar. It's all about, yeah, it shows Ishi.
He used to say that you should come to Bhubaneswar. I will make you non-vegetarian. Like, okay, let's see.
You're a vegetarian, Anisha?
Ma'am, I don't like to eat non-veg. I don't know why. I don't get
Srinath,
why.
Srinath also non-vegetarian, ma'am.
Who?
Yeah, now you will compare. Okay. Srinath.
Are actually,
Who is non-vegetarian? Who is vegetarian?
no, I pure vegetarian.
Srinath is vegetarian.
Actually, my family actually eats non-veg, but the thing is, I don't like, so I used to bind Rudraksh in my hand so that they
Same
don't
also,
poison
Srinath
me.
ma'am also. Same thing for Srinath also.
What the? Why you are saying this?
That's why I told Jodi
I am
only.
saying to ma'am, why we are reacting? I am saying to ma'am.
No, he told me his family is fully vegetarian. Right, Shrina?
Look at his DP. I kept laughing. God, even I'm laughing when I see. How did you do it, Ishi?
Ma'am, in night only I turned on the flash and clicked the photo, so automatically in his eyes, ma'am, it start glowing like this, ma'am.
You've made this dog legendary,
Yes, ma'am.
And it's your pet dog?
Not
One
pet, ma'am. Actually, it's a type of rescue, ma'am. Rescue one. When it was a small, newborn puppy, ma'am. That time, it came in front of the car, so we brought him
Yeah,
to the
when you were
home. From
not
that,
there
I
in the
stay.
class, everyone was telling that not only Ishi, but his dog also drinks. His dog also consumes weed. So,
No, 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 ma'am. I do not do all these things.
yeah, same. Srinath was also telling, I do not do all this. We are good guys.
No, ma'am. I don't have any bad habits, ma'am.
Like,
No bad habits, ma'am. I don't know.
like, what are the
Like
bad
smoking, drinking, these all things I don't have.
and
And using slangs and these all things I never use, ma'am.
and
Jute.
okay, listen.
And now I am started following Sigma rules, ma'am.
Okay. And what are the bad habits you don't have, Ishi?
Ma'am, smoking, drinking, using slangs, and these all things, ma'am.
Only.
I do not flirt with girls. Do
Hmm?
not talk to strangers.
Hmm.
Yes, ma'am.
And
These all things.
and
And wherever I go, I inform in my home, ma'am.
okay, and
I always say truth to my mom. That's it.
So
Do not talk to father. Anything want to say to father? I contact through my mother.
ଏ ସତ କହ ଆଗ।
बस
ଆରେ ବାବାଙ୍କୁ ସତ କହୁନୁ?
very good, very good. You're truly a very decent boy.
Yes, ma'am.
I've seen even more decent guys getting involved in drugs. Not drugs, but drinking.
Who?
Actually, I've been in
Sudhanshu
hostel
himself.
for a very long time. So
Sudhanshu.
I've seen a lot of my friends getting involved in drinking and smoking. When we started in class, after class 10th,
You started drinking after class 10th?
No, ma'am. Actually, after class 10th, we and some of my friends went to hostel, and so from the at the starting, we used to be friends. After sometimes our friend circle got separated. Some of them got involved in drink. First, they got involved in smoking, and there were three of us who were not smokers. So we kept continuing our classes in coaching and school. I was in school also, and my friends, two of my friends, were doing non-schooling, which means they will only give exams and they will learn by themselves. So they had joined coaching centers. So we three were there who were non-smokers, do not drink, and we were kind of people who used to study. And some of my friends who were not drinking at that time got involved in some other kind of stuff, like they got addicted, I would say, addicted
You know
to
what,
go
Sudhanshu?
out and
It is if you're willing to drink or to smoke or something, then you will definitely do it. But if you have inside your heart that, yeah, I will not do this because this is not good and this is not make me cool, then definitely you're not doing this. I have also the friends like them. They also ask me, legi kya, phukegi kya? But no. I said no.
I completely agree with you.
My
Ma'am,
friends,
one more thing, ma'am.
everyone drinks
Ma'am,
some
one more
smoke,
thing, ma'am.
but I have my own
I
priorities.
completely
Na? I
agree.
can't drink and smoke
Ma'am, one more thing, ma'am.
I
because I
know
don't
Ma'am,
use.
in my class
occasionally
who
these
were
all things
there
are
in
okay,
my
ma'am,
class
for
who
me.
used to smoke.
Good, Sudhanshu. So it's really nice that you have still
Ma'am,
not
actually,
got into the
occasionally we
habit
can
of.
do it, no, ma'am. Because our body also needs
That's why I
sometimes
am
alcohol,
like,
which is good for our health if we take it in limited quantity and occasionally, ma'am.
Yes. Baba,
that
Ma'am,
is
she
why
is
I
drinking
telling.
make
is
sure
good,
that I
but
won't get involved in any kind of drugs or these things. I have a lot of my friends were there in
Brother,
college
drugs is illegal in
when
India,
I
so
was
no one do it
studying.
openly, okay?
What is
Yes,
it?
sir. Fanny.
सैनिटाइजर रब करके सूंघ ले, नशा हो जाएगा. ये तो फेविकॉल को सूंघ ले.
One of my
स्ट्रॉन्ग से.
friend unknowingly,
How did you know? How did you know all this? कैसे पता तुमको? Ah, Sanish was
Ma'am,
like,
ma'am,
realized
ma'am,
ma'am, these are recent
ma'am, we
poem,
do
ma'am. These
not
are
do it
recent
doesn't
poem.
mean that we would,
Co-curricular activities in our
ma'am,
school.
we do not do it doesn't mean that we should not know
white
about all these
white
things. We should
maybe
be
Srinath does
aware,
it.
ma'am.
Yes, yes, Srinath, your friend does it, so you know it, isn't it, Ichi?
No, ma'am, it's all things are available in Google, ma'am.
Yes.
In which things, what
One of my
quantities
friend,
are
he was
there, who,
elaborating that, oh my God, Anisha, if you will take this now, it will just open your nerves. Oh my God, it's looked like. And I'm like, okay. What should I say? Okay.
actually whitener
ma'am,
Try one.
actually, ma'am,
Everyone is like,
according
you
to me,
should
ma'am,
try.
drugs are, ma'am, it's illegal, ma'am. It's very dangerous. But weed is, ma'am, something traditional, ma'am.
Hmm. That's
Talent.
big.
this is how they slowly get involved in these things. This is how.
Yes.
And ma'am, in beer, ma'am, there are 10 essential minerals which no foods can provide us. So at least one a month, if you drink, one beer, then it's good for your health. Medically proven, ma'am.
Very good, Ichi.
व्हाइटनर से भी नशा होता है. एक मेरा दोस्त अननोइंगली एक बार पेपर में व्हाइटनर से कुछ बहुत ज्यादा बड़ा सा मिटाया और उसके ऊपर सो गया था.
तो अमृत जो लगाते हैं ना मैम, वो जो वेपोरब वगैरह जो सब लगाता है ना, उसमें भी तो होता है.
वाह, इसको सीटीसी हटाओ, नशेड़ी गैंग बनाओ, मजा. इसमें तो पार्टिसिपेशन बहुत अच्छा.
Knowledge about नशे की class.
Exactly. So Sudhanshu को भी तो बड़े चीज मालूम है. क्या बात है Sudhanshu?
Ma'am, actually I have been in hostel for 3 years. 2 year in
That's Sudhanshu is
11th
experienced guy,
and
ma'am.
after that when I dropped for JEE preparation, that was the time I realized these things the most, because
And
most of
today's
my
topic
friends
is
were
message
there
पे
in
करते हैं.
college.
Someone is typing in the chat
So
box.
they started doing all these kind of things.
See, even
And I was-
Ankit Adak is there in the class. He has also not left the class. He usually leaves the class 7 minutes before it ends. But he's still there. Ankit, very good. You're also inspired. Good.
Ma'am, actually they all are inspired from चरस गंजा सबको प्यार है.
बस अब किसी को कुछ चाहिए तो ईशी है ना, वो भुवनेश्वर में he'll guide you through.
No, ma'am, I do not do all these things, ma'am.
No, but you have the information. That's what Anisha said. Anisha said Ishi knows everything. He has information of everything.
I
No,
didn't
ma'am,
say,
that is
Ishi, that you drink or smoke. I said everything, you know, everything. You know?
that is the general knowledge, ma'am.
Yeah,
Really?
ma'am, jo bhi,
Yes,
he
ma'am.
knows everything.
Ma'am, that is the quality inside me.
Very good general knowledge you have, Ishi. You will become the next crorepati. कौन बनेगा crorepati? Because you have a
Yes, ma'am.
great knowledge
One
about
billion
it.
answer.
But I'm surprised that Ankit Adak still sticks to the class. He leaves the class exactly 7 minutes before.
I think he is secretly informing to NCB, ma'am, to read on this class. We're discussing all these things.
Maybe. Okay, नशे पे बहुत चर्चा हो गया. But I guess all of you enjoyed a lot. नशे पे चर्चा करना.
Actually, I
Good
didn't
fun.
listen anything, ma'am. Now only I joined, so I didn't.
No, everyone was like looking for where is Ishi, as if Ishi knows everything about weed and marijuana and everything. So सब इसी को ढूंढ रहे थे. So once they are all once they land up in Bhubaneswar, then you are going to become one of the
That issue.
yeah
No, ma'am, no, ma'am.
most looked after, sought after person in
Ma'am, you
Bhubaneswar.
did in our college, in your college time.
No.
Ma'am, actually, you know the truth, ma'am. Anisha do weeds, ma'am. When
Oh no,
she
ma'am,
smokes
no.
marijuana, ma'am.
No, oh please.
But you
Ma'am,
get the best
one
weed.
day,
Ma'am,
ma'am,
I don't do
ma'am,
anything.
one day she randomly texted me and said that, Ishi, can you, Mr. Can you arrange
कुछ भी.
weeds for me? I said, okay. See if it's available or not nearby near the college.
Yeah. Make up
Yeah.
this story. Yeah, definitely. Go ahead. I don't do.
And she said
You will
that,
get to know me
No,
when
no,
I
it
will
was
there
not
in Bhubaneswar. I
Anisha.
don't
See,
touch even those
I
things.
guess it was Riya Chakrabarti who contacted you. Maybe, yes. Because she
ma'am,
texted her friend that to get the best weed.
Anisha is not less than Riya
Yeah,
Chakraborty.
I do everything. Now you're happy. I do everything.
Ma'am, one more girl is also there, ma'am, who do these all things, ma'am. Weed, cigarette,
That
Aisa,
is the
Aisa, ma'am.
issue.
Aisa.
God, is
He's
Aisha in
lying,
class?
ma'am. He's lying. Definitely you're doing. You are on wheat. You are high, Ishi.
No,
Yeah, I think so.
no.
Okay.
I have your mother's number. I'll
Okay,
definitely.
call.
Yeah, okay, I'll call her.
Okay, Anisha, next class you tell me that we have not completed the organizational pattern. I'll start from there.
जिसको भी मेरे ऊपर भरोसा नहीं है, मेरे डीपी में जो कुत्ते का आंख को देखो, भरोसा हो जाएगा.
उसी को देख के लग रहा है कि तुम कर रहा है.
Otherworldly creature.
Okay, goodbye all of you. Have a good time.
Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you, ma'am.
Bye, ma'am.